Hey, welcome back to the Ernest P YouTube channel. I'm Ernest, and today we're going to talk about what do I do with people who don't pay me. So, in the past, there's been people who haven't paid, for services. How to address this question, it's multifaceted. There's people who, the first example that pops into my head was somebody, it was one of those jobs where they said, hey, I need this done tonight. Can you do it for $500? I think I was going to charge them $400, and I said, sure, I'll do it tonight for $500. It's a good emergency fee, an extra $100 to get out. It was like 11 o'clock or something. It was raining, it was dark, and I said, sure, I'll do it. Well, we had initially talked the day before. I was going to do it for $400, but I was going to do it a few days in advance. That was the soonest I could do it reasonably. And so when he said, hey, will you do it tonight for $500? The number 400 had already been around. And this is important because when we got done, he was going to pay me in cash. And obviously I know how ATMs work. And he said, look, I only have $400 right now. So I'll pay you the 400. He told me before I fixed it, he said, I'll pay you the 400 right now. And if you want, I'll go get the other 100 and give it to you, or I can bring it to you tomorrow. And I said, sure, that's fine. So I replaced his part, got it working, and he gave me the $400 and drove off. And then I called him the next day and he said, perfect, I'll be in town this morning, bring your $100. And then he blocked my number. So there's $100 that initially I wasn't going to have from the job in the first place, but because it was offered, because I went out of my way to do it that night, it was something that I had earned and expected. So there's the issue of like, okay, well, I wasn't going to get it in the first place, but then I deserved it, and now I don't have it. The problem I ran into was I trusted the guy, so I didn't get his VIN number, and I didn't have him sign a contract. And so once he was gone, I had his phone number and a little bit of his information, and I actually sent him in the mail. I sent him a few texts and a few voicemails saying, hey, look, I need that $100, or else I'll have to take some action against you to retrieve that money. And I sent him through the mail, because I had his address, a notice of intent to lien, to put a lien on his vehicle until he paid me that $100. And it either came back like 2 months later and he had never gotten it, or he did get it, I don't remember, and just never said anything. And it was one of those things that was like $100. I kind of just let it go, and I probably shouldn't have. In other cases, there's this old lady who, she had all the money. I replaced her fuel pump one night, and then she needed half that money that night to pay for her hotel, because they were staying in a hotel because they just got evicted. All the money was there. I saw it, and I trusted her again, and I said, okay, I'll get the other half of the money from you tomorrow or on Friday or whenever her husband got paid or whatever. And poof, vanished. Didn't get her VIN number. I trusted her, and I've been in contact with her. She's super nice. She says, hey, we'll pay you next month, and this has been going on for 8 months. Last July, and now it's March 9th of 2020. So there was another couple $100. That's one of those things where at least all the parts were covered. I'm a really nice person, so I like to think of it now as just kind of like charity. I still hope to get the money back, but I'm like, at least if I never get it back, at least I wasn't out of pocket. And hopefully, she seemed really desperate, and she was so nice. And so hopefully, I know it might not make any sense to y'all, but hopefully, that got her on her way at least, and they were able to get into a home and get a job, and they relied on that vehicle. So if I never see that money, at least hopefully it helped them. And then, random cases where people say, can you change my spark plug? Sure, I'll do it for X amount of money. And then because of the nature of my business, sometimes I'll do it when people are at work or school, and I'll say, hey, just leave the car unlocked, and I'll let you know when it's done. And then the rest of the afternoon goes by and I don't hear anything from them. Well, usually in that case, I have people sign a contract, even through text message. I say, you've authorized me to do this work to your vehicle for this amount of money. Reply yes if you agree, and you will pay me by Friday. Otherwise, action will be taken against you. So then they reply yes, and then I have their phone number and I get their address, and sometimes I'll have them send me a picture of their driver's license. And one, I do that to have their address. Two, mostly it just scares people. They're like, oh no, he has a picture of my driver's license, so it's official. And then I also have contracts I've printed out. When I do especially larger jobs, I'll have people sign contracts saying that they'll pay me within a certain amount of time if they're going to do payments or whatever. That way everything's legit. If I need to take action against them, all the paperwork's there and signed. Now, the one I want to talk about specifically was a motor swap I did for somebody. Very nice gentleman. I worked on his car before, and then he got the wrong motor for his truck. He swore it would fit, It obviously didn't look the same. I mean, it was a six-cylinder Vortec engine out of an old Chevy, but he got it, from a 90s model Chevy, and his was a 2007, swore it would fit. And I didn't question him because he provided the motor and just said, put it in for me. So I yanked the old one out, put the new one in, nothing lined up. The motor mounts didn't line up. A lot of fabricating, a lot of extra work just to get little pieces to fit on and move stuff around that they would fit the new wiring harness. I ended up having to take the old heads off of his blown motor, take them to the machine shop, get them reworked, so they could put them back, so I could put them back on the new one, because the intake manifold had, it was carbureted on the old one, and the new one it was fuel injected. Just a bunch of stuff I had to do. So at this point, his truck's not running. I said, okay, I want to get it running for you at least, but I put so much extra work into it. I said, I'll do you the favor, and I'm not going to charge you any extra for it, but you have to pay for the machining, you have to pay for the extra parts and stuff, and I'm going to charge you the full amount that I was initially planning, because sometimes I'll get people a range, like if it's real easy, it'll be $1,400. If it's hard, it'll be $1,600. So I said, we're going to go with the max amount. And it never got running. He just couldn't put any more into it. It was taking so much time. Nothing was lining up. He was getting real frustrated, texting me every day saying he was going to lose his job if he didn't have his truck the next day, stressing me out. So I said, you know what? It's not worth it for me. I'm going to discount you. And I discounted him $300. And I said, you have to tow it away and go get it fixed either at the dealership or by some shop that specializes in fabrication and retrofitting, who can handle this, because I was just here for a simple swap in, swap out, and it turned into days worth of work that shouldn't have been. So already there, I was out of pocket paying for machining costs, for parts that I was putting on, and he was gonna pay everything at the end. Well, he said, okay, I'll tow my truck back, and I knew the tow truck driver, and I knew this guy, and so the tow truck driver came and took his truck back, and then this guy just would not answer me, won't answer my phone calls, my texts. I've sent him an intent to lien. It got delivered, and I've never heard from him. So rather than lien his vehicle, because the work was done in this county, in this city, we both live in this city, what I'm going to do is take him to civil court. So I have a summons and affidavit paperwork I'm going to fill out. I haven't put anything on it yet, but I have all of his information, what was done, what was owed and agreed upon, and I have all the text message. And this is the biggest thing. I always write things down in text messages. If somebody calls me and they say, hey, I have a 2012 Toyota 4Runner and I want the spark plugs changed. I've done it several times and I know exactly how much it's going to cost, but I will never give them a number over the phone. I'll never say, okay, it's going to cost you $120. Or if I do, I say it'll cost you $120, but I'm going to text it to you and you have to confirm. But usually I just say, okay, I'll text that number, that quote to you in just a moment. And after we end the call, I always text it so it's written down. Because one, I've gotten, in situations before where I've said something and I couldn't remember 2 weeks later if that was the exact number I said and it wasn't written down and they couldn't remember what I said. So I had to go with a cheaper number, to make sure I wasn't charging them more. As well as people, I want proof of people saying, no, you said you were going to charge $100. I have proof. It's written down in text message. It's $120 and they're agreeing upon it. So everything I've done with this guy was written in text. I can print them all out. I have all the correct documentation on his truck. I have pictures, videos of me working on it, of the old motor out of his truck and the new motor in the truck. So I'm going to fill out this summons for civil court, and here at least you can go to civil court and go through mitigation, what they call it, and they have students from the local universities who are in law school there, and if you can come to an agreement, you don't have to go before a judge. If you can't come to an agreement, you go before a judge, and you can file all of your expenses, everything that they owed you. You can charge the court expenses towards them if you have permission from the judge and stuff. So I am going to go ahead and fill out this paperwork and have him served with the paperwork so that we can set up a court date, or we set up the court date and I serve him with that court date. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll go to the courthouse to finish all this out. So because of the nature of the job, because it's over $1,000, and up to a certain amount, it's up to like $5,000 or $11,000, you can settle it in civil court. If not, you have to actually sue them, and it's through a different process or whatever, but I don't anticipate ever doing a job that big. So, because of the nature of the job, how much it costs will go through civil court, and this week I'll be filing the paperwork and having him serve to appear at court and get the money back from him. So I know in some places you have like 6 months to do it. I'm pretty sure here I could do it whenever, 10 years down the road. If I still have all the documentation, I can still serve him, with the documents and make him appear in court and pay me. I'm not sure what happens if he doesn't appear. I don't know. We'll go over it when I get to the courthouse next week and talk to one of the clerks who will help me fill out this information. So first time I've ever done it. In the past, I've just let those things slide, you know, whether it be $20, $40, where people have just almost paid me everything and then not, or, you know, like the other two instances I mentioned, it's almost just not enough for me to want to go and cause issue about. It depends on the person as well, the kind of attitude they've had. So with this one, enough for me to want to say, okay, for the first time, I'm not going to let this slide. Besides the fact that I have a lot of my money sunk into the work I did as well with the parts and the machining, you know, it's something that has to be reclaimed. I can't take on that cost for nothing. And we agreed upon it, and it was completely his fault. If I provided the wrong motor, then it's one thing, but he provided the engine and said, look, I want this engine and I know it'll fit, and he was persistent, and I have it all in, you know, in text and proof. So yeah, that's what we'll do. You know, lessons for the future is I always ask for a picture of somebody's identification. I always make them confirm in text message the amount that they're approving and the job that I'm doing, and when they'll have me paid by you know, what amount, by what means. And for the scare factor alone, I think of having a picture of people's identification, like a little contract written out. I haven't had any issues every time I've done that. The only times I've gotten burned, like I said, are the times where I've just been a little too trusting. And I'll say 90% of the time I've trusted somebody, it's been fine. But those two instances, you know, out of 20, you know, it didn't work out. So even when I, you know, unless it was a best friend, even when I almost, you know the person, or I've done a job for them before, like this guy, I just have everything written down and explained in some sort of text so that I have proof in the future. So that's what I'm doing this time. It's probably the best course of action as long as you have something like civil court wherever you're at. If you're, you know, you have to do this, or you're just interested to know how it works. If you're thinking about getting into starting your own business, and what you can do if somebody doesn't pay you. And this seems to be the best option because a filing fee is like $60. And, you know, assuming I win, and I probably will, considering all the documentation I have, most of the time the judge will let you have those fees reimbursed on the expense of the, you know, the person who didn't pay you, since it's their fault. You had to go through all the process anyway. So anyways, thanks for watching. If this is your first time here, consider liking and subscribing. As always, have a good day and peace out.